Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. This is October 27, 2019. Last Sunday in October. We get together like this every Sunday night from 8 until 10 p.m. Eastern Time to look at life through a biblical lens and generally solve all the world's problems. We got 2 hours to do it. We welcome you to the Bible Forum. Glad that you're able to join us. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10. The videos are then distributed over Facebook and YouTube and our website, thebibleforum.net. The Bible Forum is a ministry of alternatives, biblical counseling, and education. It's a 501c3 nonprofit corporation entirely supported by your free will offerings. We're getting ready to celebrate the conclusion of 20 years of continuous broadcast. And we've been able to do that because of you. All donations are entirely tax deductible. You will get a receipt. Just click the donate button on the Bible Forum website, thebibleforum.net. And then, of course, come and watch every Sunday night live. Get into chat room with the folks and chat it up. Get to know some people as we look at life this past week. Under the heading of current events, I saw on the Syrian front, you've been watching what's going on over there. Turkey's invasion of Syria is a move of opportunity. She has more than 1.7 million Syrian refugees, Turkey does. She doesn't want them. She wants to get rid of them. But she also has designs on Syria. President Erdogan of Turkey wants to reestablish the Ottoman Empire. This is an empire created by Turkish tribes in Anatolia, Asia Minor, that grew to be one of the most powerful states in the world during the 15th, 16th centuries. The Ottoman period spanned more than 600 years and came to an end only in 1922, when it was replaced by the Turkish Republic and various successor states in southeastern Europe and the Middle East. At its height, the empire encompassed most of southeastern Europe, all the way to the gates of Vienna, including present-day Hungary, the Balkan region, Greece, and parts of Ukraine. Portions of the Middle East now occupied by Iraq, Syria, Israel, and Egypt. Even North Africa as far west as Algeria and parts of the Arabian Peninsula. The term Ottoman is a dynastic appellation derived from Osman I, the nomadic Turkmen chief who founded both the dynasty, British say dynasty, and the empire about 1300 AD. Today, Turkey is a member of NATO, which is no doubt the reason that our president pulled out of northern Syria. NATO countries cannot fight one another. But Turkey immediately accepted help from Russia. Now the two are planning how to cooperate in securing northern Syria as part of Turkey. Erdogan is insisting that the U.S. extradite Mazloum Abdi, the Kurdish commander who heads the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, Washington's main Syrian ally against the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. Levant is defined by ISIL and ISIS. Syrian Democratic Forces are willing to negotiate with Erdogan, but the battle of words comes to a conclusion. However, Turkey is standing on her rights of extradition based on the fact that we are allies and have an extradition agreement. But the U.S. is not likely to turn Abdi over to the Turks. The reality? One of us is going to leave NATO. It is probable, but not assured, that NATO will remove Turkey. But don't ignore the possibility that under this president, the United States will leave NATO. I have 3 articles that I've put under the topic point of interest, having to do with God and with science and the future. Did you know scientists work off the idea that the Earth was once one giant continent? They call that continent Tangea. And they now expect that Tangea will return, that the world will once again become one continent. It will take several billions of years. But the reason is because it's moving. And it appears to be moving in a direction that would point to getting it back to where it used to be. Now, you know that this is why we have earthquakes, which are becoming more frequent and more disastrous. The tectonic plates are constantly in motion. And when that one rides over the other, it creates a tension. At some point, that tension is released and we have an earthquake. But did you know that the Bible supports the idea of one continent? The Bible, written at least 3,000 years ago, explains how it was once broken up. It's called the flood in Noah's day, about 1,500 years after God had created the heavens and the earth, and about 3,000 years behind us. Now, science won't admit to the biblical timing, mostly because that would force them to admit there really is a God in charge of everything and able to effect such changes. That'd be a little bit too much for most scientists. Scientists who live and die according to natural causes. But where the Bible intersects with history and science, the Bible's version has yet to be proven wrong. For example, historians and archaeologists are constantly either using the Bible or proving the Bible in their searches and discoveries. At any point in time, the Bible predicts at least 1,000 more years of human history. Science claims the earth won't last that long, at least the inhabitants thereof, due to global warming. However, it is known that human activity has no measurable effect on the temperature of this planet. A devastating series of research papers have just been published revealing that human activity can account for no more than 1/10 of 1% centigrade, of 1 degree of centigrade's rise in global temperatures. Meaning that all the human activity targeted by radical climate change alarmists, the combustion engines, the airplane flights, the diesel tractors, have virtually no measurable impact on the temperature of the planet. Finnish scientists spearheaded the research, releasing a paper they've entitled, quote, "No experimental evidence for the significant anthropogenic climate change," end of quote. The paper explains that the analysis of global temperature suffers from a glaring error, namely failure to account for what they call influences of low cloud cover, and how all of that impacts global temperatures. You see, apparently natural variations in low cloud cover, which are strongly influenced by cosmic radiation's ability to penetrate Earth's atmosphere due to variations in the strength of our planet's magnetosphere, account for nearly all changes in global temperatures. That, according to the researchers. This is further supported by researchers at Kobe University in Japan, who recently published a nearly simultaneous paper that reveals how changes in our planet's magnetic field govern the intensity of solar radiation, which reaches the lower atmosphere and causes cloud formation that then alters global temperatures. And so apparently we can burn all the oil we want, and it's still just a drop in the bucket compared to the power of the sun and other cosmic influences. All the fossil consumption in the world barely contributes anything to actual global temperatures. That's what the researchers found and confirmed. As they explain, the IPCC's climate models are wildly overestimating the influence of carbon dioxide on global temperatures. Carbon dioxide, in other words, isn't the pollutant that climate change alarmists have long claimed it to be. CO2 won't destroy the planet and barely has any effect on global temperatures. The IPCC's estimate of its effect is, according to Finnish researchers, about 1 order of magnitude too large, or 10 times the actual amount. In fact, NASA was forced recently to admit that carbon dioxide is regreening the Earth on a massive scale by supporting the growth of rainforests, trees, and grasslands. Amazing, isn't it? In other news around the world, Saudi Arabia announced 2 years ago a new city. They have put some money forward in what's called a future investment initiative. This initiative became a conference and announced the construction of a new city they're calling NEOM, N-E-O-M, a city that will probably be populated more by robots than humans. Now, NEOM means the new future. The first 3 characters, neo, comes from the Latin word for new. The last letter, M, is the first letter in the Arabic word for future. Their announcement in 2017 welcomed the 21st century with urban planning. The goal seems to be to build the city from scratch. Now, this city is going to be along the Red Sea in what is ancient Edom, the area in which Moses and the children of Israel once lived and traveled. It will be drone friendly. It will be a center for the development of robotics, according to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He said, "We want to create something different." NEOM is a place for dreamers who want to create something new in the world, something extraordinary. The city, infused with $500 billion in investments, will be located on the border with Jordan and Egypt and powered by solar and wind. Now, keep in mind, this means between Jordan and Egypt. That's really how large this area is. It's being billed as a business zone, 26,500 square kilometers. A mecca for the tech-minded. It's reportedly aimed at decreasing Saudi's reliance on oil. The website is glamorous, it's luxurious in its pronouncements. I encourage you to go look at it. You can find it at neom.com, Neom.com. Robots, cloud seedings for rain, technology galore, solar panels, wind turbines, Red Sea for water, a bridge between Arabia and Africa. If you think about the future, NEOM will have it. Now, the bibliophiles are surmising a great deal about this Great Tribulation that's on the horizon, and specifically as to just where this man of sin is going to set up housekeeping. Will he do it in Rome? Or will he do it in Jerusalem? Those are the two cities that come up. But it wonders a person as to whether it might be somewhere else. A place linked to the Exodus and to the miracles of God that took place there. The Red Sea crossing, the rock that spewed water, the manna, the mountain upon which Moses met with God face to face, and the fact that the clothing of these millions of people never wore out the whole 40 years. It's a fascinating concept. Now, along the same lines, can you say 1984? You remember Orson Welles, 1984, back in the 1940s? The Canadian zoologist who led the way in debunking the claim that climate change is endangering polar bears says the University of Victoria bowed to outside pressure and they fired her. What did they fire her for? For heresy. Susan Crockford, an adjunct assistant professor at the University of Victoria in Canada for 15 years, said her renewal application was rejected without explanation in May, despite her high profile as a speaker and author, due to her polar bear research and expertise in mammal bone identification. Why was she not rehired? Her research showed polar bear populations are stable and are in fact thriving. Now that runs counter to the new religion, that of climate change, and the climate activists whose numbers seem to be plummeting along with everything else, are pointing to the fact that the shrinking Arctic sea ice is going to kill these polar bears over time. You've seen the pictures on NBC, the news, they've gone out and they've shown, a mile or more of ice is gone. I've had people who've said to me, what do you make of that? What I make of it is it wasn't always there. In the days before the flood of Noah's day, there was no ice anywhere. Don't need it. The International Union for Conservation of Nature's 2015 Red List of Threatened Species puts polar bear numbers at 22,000 to 31,000, despite the common belief that the population has dwindled to just a few thousand. Penn State climatologist Michael E. Mann is known for producing what is called the hockey stick graph, popularized by Al Gore, claiming world temperatures were flat or slightly declining for more than 900 years before suddenly rising in the 20th century due to human carbon dioxide emissions. Now, critics point out, however, that Mann's graph doesn't show the medieval warm period between about 1000 and 1300 AD, where temperatures were warmer than they are today. Don't let facts interfere with what you want to believe. Crockford, who earned a PhD in biology and anthropology in 2004, described her expulsion as, quote, an academic hanging without a trial, conducted behind closed doors. In a post on her popular Polar Bear Science blog on Wednesday, a week ago, she wrote, When push comes to shove, you, Vic, threw me under the bus rather than standing up for my academic freedom. On Monday, she noted on her blog that she was in London preparing for a lecture on her 2019 book. It's entitled The Polar Bear Catastrophe That Never Happened.